What's popular, YouTube? Another year, another top 20, and finally, we have come to it here on December 21st, right before Christmas, while I'm still in Abu Dhabi for the Blast World Final. I'm recording this, of course, before the number 3, number 2, and number 1 of Laos Top 20 of 2023. It has been a fantastic ride. I am recording this video before even seeing the reception for the first one, so hopefully it went over well. So fun to be able to go back and relive the players' careers and to watch some of the footage from this year and some of the fantastic highlights, because we move fast in Counter-Strike. Before we hop into the video, we're gonna do a couple things. I wanna do some bold predictions for next year, talk about some snubs from this year from my perspective, people who were close in the top 20 but didn't make the cut and maybe why. And then also remind you to head on over to boxermovement.club today, because the website is launched today. Hopefully everything is working properly. The new functionality, we've got a graveyard that you can vote on to bring items back. We've got a private shop for you called the Bonus Room for our true OGs. We've got some very special stuff coming out, including a chain. Actually, I can talk about everything. We've been working on this privately for months. Thank you so much to YPRAC for building this new site for us, and for Taylor for being our lead designer, and for Rama for the collaboration, for Azone for the mousepad collaboration. This is all stuff that we have been putting so much work and time into, and I'm so happy that it coincides with today, the end of the top 20 list. So again, head on over to boxermovement.club and sign up, make an account, please. It'd be amazing. And they're like, well, we're gonna add so much stuff in the future, KZ servers and everything. It's gonna be you're gonna get even better. Okay, you want to be on the ground floor. Okay, you want a piece of Boxer merch that's gonna be OG in 2 years. It's gonna be contraband. People are gonna be looking for it on eBay, Craigslist, Kijiji. They're gonna be doing Cicada 3301 things to be able to find Boxer merch one day, and you could have a piece. Okay, let's hop in before we do number 3, 2, and 1. There's a few names that people know are going to be left over. All right, no secret. In what order, I think, is the main question, and for maybe some of the new viewers of Counter-Strike, they have no idea, so this should be even more fun. But why don't we talk about people who didn't make the list this year who were close? I've got a few names that I had written down that I just thought were people who I looked at them and they were like, oh, man, they're so good. They're so good. Their stats were too inconsistent. Their teams weren't good enough, but they were so good. Okay, some of those players were Naf, Jame, Nertz, Electronic, Jimpat, Donk, and Crimbo. And if I gotta say one good thing about each of these guys, I could easily do it. There's a lot of stuff that I could actually say. You know, Crimbo as a closer this year is amazing. When it comes to next year, in the mid round, he sort of got the Xyp9x effect of being so good in the late round, incredible at clutches, that to the point that I could trust him in a clutch versus almost any elite player, but he's not well-rounded enough, and his team is not good enough to get him the deep runs either. So he's not that superstar carry level. He's just packed to the brim with potential, with very good stats and like basically elite level clutching. So it's just very high spike in one area of the game, and I think the next year with improvement and some better signings out of Big, we could be talking about more about Crimbo. Donk is somebody who I didn't include on this list because I didn't record this before Bet Boom Dacha 2023. Donk is definitely one of the best players this year. I mean, there's no question. Like, he's 2 for 2 on lands. He played 1 regional, 1 international, both ended with a grand finals victory over Virtus Pro, including a historic first time ever reverse sweep on land from 0-2 down to 3-2 back. Team Spirit won, and Donk had the killer instinct of all of the best players that we've watched in their early years. This is so stellar for a team like Spirit to have a player like him at 16 years old saying that he's played 14 to 16 hours a day. I wouldn't even cite that stat if he didn't put up the stats that he's put up, right? I wouldn't even cite that. He's clearly put in the work. If he's playing at his 80% level one day, I'm not surprised he's still able to put up the consistently and unbelievable stats performances over and over again on the very few chances on land. And in the grand finals, in overtime, was literally the reason why they just closed out in the hardest moment. So Donk, I mean, crazy. Jim Pat's also somebody who, throughout his few days on Mouse, is somebody like Crimbo, an insane closer. One of the guys who, in my opinion, is catching my eye because of timings. When it comes to timing, I've always looked at Cacerado and Yuri as having some of the best timing. Timing is when you are knowing when to switch between angles, knowing how to catch someone off guard. People who get away with timings, they basically look like they're cheating, you know, because they're so in tune. And I get that feeling with Jim Pat as well. Cacerado as well is somebody who did not have enough deep runs. He had a period where he wasn't playing well. He had suffered a tragic loss this year, so I don't want to get into that, but I think that doesn't help. But Cacerado was somebody else. Electronic, somebody who had just a weak middle of the year, but such a strong bounce back after stopping IGLing. I believed that he was going to be a great IGL when he said that he wanted to, so yeah, I totally bought into that. I'm actually sad that he just kind of, well, I'm not sad that he quit because he's actually doing better now, but whatever, man. I guess Electronic just wasn't cut out to be the IGL that I thought he could. It just goes to show you how difficult being an elite IGL is. Nertz was amazing, but he had a lot of problems in finals. I'd say he was the second best player on Ents and the player who had a crazy hop over from tier 2. And Nertz is definitely going to get something in the top 20 next year, I would assume. Nertz just problems in finals, I think, for Ents. I think he actually could have won tournaments for Ents. And I put that on him because I think he needs to be the carry behind Sun Pius. He's that good. So finals choker for me, Nertz didn't quite make it. Jame also probably would have threw him on the list after Bet Boom, maybe in 20, just individually. He's such a smart player. He's the same guy as last year. There's nothing bad to say about him. He's an amazing caller and an amazing player, straight up. Just barely didn't make it. I don't know how else to rationalize it personally. And then there's Naf, who I think we'll definitely see back on the list next year. Maybe he'll make it to this year's list, I'm not sure, but it might be quite like all the way at the end if it's going to be HLTV, so I'll say that much. Naf was definitely good. Eye test wise, Naf is such a smart player. If you play CS and you watch Naf play, like, he's going to be one of your favorite players, no doubt. Like, he always makes moves that it's like, wow, he has full vision of the map, he has full communication. I bet that people don't even really give him all the info and he somehow figures stuff out. He's a genius in the game, he really is. So expecting him to be deep in the top 20 in 2024. All right, that's it, okay? So let's begin. We're getting up to the podium. Here it is. The top 3 players of 2023. Number 3 is a player who I think is best in his role, period. There's nobody that can touch him right now. It was also one of the most competitive roles this year. It's also a role that people thought was completely dead this year. And it's a role that I thought was dead this year in the sense of, back in the day, dominant star players had played like this and it was possible, but as soon as people started watching demos and using Gnosis and using Starcaller, you couldn't use this playstyle, and that was lurking, okay? But this player, for me, not only became the number 2 to the most important player on his team, but also was the reason that they won tournaments, in the same way that if Nertz was a stronger number 2 to Sun Pius, they could have closed out finals, in my opinion. No, what the fuck? I'm not supposed to say yet. Sorry. He's a Paris champion, ends the year as best lurker, won the Blastfall final in CS2 in 2023 to show his range and strength in the new game, and for that reason, as the better player in his role, the player who edged out Rops in this very same event and stopped the FaZe era from taking place, Spinks for me is the number 3 player of 2023. This guy right here is both, in my opinion, the most improved player of the year, as well as the sterling example of how to lurk, period. Nobody is doing that better than Spinks. And now that we've gone through the list, I'm happily able to talk about the fact that I think he's outdone Rops just slightly, and I think he's also flown by Blame who might be one of the most evolved in the role as well. And almost nobody was as consistently good throughout the year on top of being a major champion. No questions about him in CSGO and CS2, and no conversation around the fact that he was carried. In fact, he was the one who was carrying outside of ZywOo when it came to IEM Rio, Paris Major, Blastfall Finals. I once called Spinks a generational talent and believed later that I regretted that statement. I'm happy to say that he's lived up to that gracious title and, in my opinion, has been the perfect number 2 to ZywOo this year, with the exceptional form, consistency, and doing things in his role that most people thought weren't possible in the modern era of CS. Spinks, number 3. Number 2 of the year. Most people by this point know who this is going to be. This is somebody who lives in infamy for his career for failing to win one specific major. This is somebody who is on a permanent podium in CS history, in my opinion, as one of the truly elite in the history of the game. One of the 3 players, in my opinion, that has truly shown us the ceiling of the game for an unreasonable amount of time. And in this case, the only player to do it with a rifle. Coming in at number 2 of 2023, Nico. Nico is one of 3 players, Simple, Device, and himself, that are on a permanent podium in CS history and have transcended the game for more than half a decade and have served as a ceiling for what is possible in Counter-Strike, flat out. And Nico is the only player of those 3 to do it with a rifle. He walks a lonely path in CS history as having the most infamous loss at a CS major in 2018 and being criticized almost solely on that fact since that major concluded, and yet has put up the best year of his career here in 2023, nailed Cato and Cologne that actually do make up for not winning a major. The prestige of a major will never be matched by another trophy, but the quality of runs is even more merited at these tournaments. Cologne Finals was the best finals performance of anybody this year, mirroring that of Rain at Antwerp in 2022, and he quieted all doubt that he can't take over the game on the biggest stage when his team needs him. He serves as a staunch reminder that you can lurk and entry and have the best stats in the world and control the map almost solo, TCT Nuke, TCT Inferno, and win championships and transpose between those roles within maps and within rounds on a dime. Nico is talked about the most because he is incomparable. Number 2 this year for me is Nico, by far. All right, folks, here it is, number 1. Time to get into it. Who is it going to be? There's somebody who's missing, okay? And I don't think anybody thinks that he's number 21, all right? This year, this player was the best with every single gun that he used. Major championship MVP. He will be the 2nd player to have 3 number 1s in his career. Inside and just outside of CSGO, maybe Simple can say he got 3 purely in CSGO, but this guy has floated into CS to a perfect transition. The best player in both games, and he only opts half the time. The number 1 player of 2023, getting his 3rd number 1 in his 5-year career as a professional player in CSGO. ZywOo. If you take the best of every player on this list, you will follow that trail to one man. To one who was the best with every gun he used this year. To a major champion and major champion MVP. To an inexplicable talent in the context of statistics. And for what it's worth, I have never heard a teammate tell me a negative thing about him, besides that he could be more selfish. And the thought that he could be even better when he debuted in his rookie year for Vitality at number 1 is perplexing to say the least. He is somebody that will now be tied with Simple at 3 number 1s in his career and has literally done that within 5 years. Has he done what Simple did in 2018? No. And CSGO is a closed book. But ZywOo has his eyes set on an even greater potential accomplishment. Being the most dominant player in Counter-Strike history, game agnostic. Every single MVP for Vitality in history, including tournaments they did not win. 2 behind Device and 4 behind Simple across their careers. The lowest placing in any of his years as a professional in the top 20 is number 2. The best with every single weapon that he used this year, and he doesn't even rely on the op to do it. ZywOo is the chosen one. Okay, well, that's it. We've done it. All the way down to the final player right at the end of the year. Top 20 to number 1. Congratulations to ZywOo for getting a 3rd number 1 this year. That is just an unbelievable accomplishment that nobody can relate to. Not even me describing. I can't even understand what that must be like. And I would just like to say, if not for someone like ZywOo, Simple would have been number 1 5 years in a row. 5 years in a row. And he got still number 1 3 times. And he did it versus some great parity. ZywOo is the only person that could potentially extend this podium. For me, that's Simple, Device, Nico, and ZywOo. And he probably already has. When we talk about what he's got left in CS2. It's literally up to him. If he wants to try as hard as he's been trying, then Daiwu will be the best Counter-Strike player in the history of the game by far. Amazing year from Nico. Amazing to see Monacy in top 5. What else can we say? Amazing watching Spinks get better after I personally doubted him last year. I really wanted him to be a better number 2, an electronic to simple, or a bit to simple in terms of the role, but in terms of stats. To see Spinks improve so much in his role. Like when I watch his demos now, he doesn't move too slowly. He's literally found the perfect tempo. BlameF's not found that tempo. Rops is not just a lurker in the same way, in my opinion, that Spinks is. So I think Spinks is literally perfect at the moment. He's the best in this role since literally like Get Right back in the day. So Spinks is just, he's got a PhD in the role at the moment. He's breaking new original research with how to do it. And you know, it's way harder these days with the amount of studying that goes on. So he was the most exceptional improvement for me, and someone I'm really happy to call him number 3. Simple dropping down, you know, what can you say? Yeah, it hurt. You know, not to put Simple so low, but that and Device being such a difference maker for Astralis. Like, to me, it's just eye test. Like, watching Device come onto the team instantly, the way the team improved so drastically instantly as he joined. Then watching some of the rounds that Astralis play, and I watched a lot of Astralis this year, like, I was like, it was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow, he's not just coming and take a backseat to learn the game again. He's literally instantly teaching everybody how to play. He's an elite player, like, to a different degree. And it made me realize how much that was, the Astralis era was Device. Like, even though Clave came in to replace Kerrigan and all that stuff, like, Device's sheer level of impact, number two, whatever. His consistency, his decision making is just like, there's no one like him. Happy to see BlameF as well, like, just improve so much that I just don't feel like he's overrated anymore. I think he's like really good and rated. I don't know where he'll be on HLTVs, but that for me, yeah. Killed me a bit to have Hunter be so low. I didn't have the best things to say about Hunter, even though he had some very good tournaments this year. It's just that when I watched, maybe I missed the rounds, you know, but I really didn't see him the same way as I did last year. Not quite, I mean, still deep in the top 20, you know, but you know how much I love Hunter, so. But yeah, that's the list for this year. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed it. I hope the audio is okay. I'm using this go-to wireless. Guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been an incredible year. I feel very lucky. I'm very happy. I have a girlfriend I love. I have a community I love. I have a game I love. I have a job I love. My mom is healthy. I've had so much work. My YouTube channel is doing well. The clothing company is doing well. Working with people that I really love and respect and just look up to. Very few enemies this year. You know, very few like people working against me. Almost no one stealing my energy when it just feels so easy to do everything, and I can feel like I can do so much. And working with Rivalry, ASON is amazing sponsors. Thank you so much to ASON for sponsoring this top 20. Everybody's been the best, and I really appreciate it. Everyone for watching. That's all I've got to say. And thank you for Vivid for being an incredible editor to work with this year as well. And yeah, I'm gonna take a small break before we get into the next year. I hope everyone enjoys their holidays, spends time with their families, and has hopefully some time off to relax if possible. Just get cozy by the fire, okay? All right, stay hygge out there, all right? Cheers, everybody. See ya in 2024. Let's do it all again.